Number 20. Did your deployment hurt your relationship? Well, how would you like it if your spouse was gone for a year, living in a combat zone? Actually, in some families, it secures their relationship because they really realize to appreciate each other and they get a better bond because of it. And times it's going to be like you just, when you get back. But at times you just wonder whether Jody visited while you were gone, whether your wife had an affair or your husband had an affair while you were gone. That brings up those kind of questions. Even if you think you got a good relationship, you're still in the back of your mind, then you shouldn't be wanting to know this kind of crap from people. It's really none of your damn business. By asking this question, it can cause all kinds of negative thoughts. Because here's the reality. No one goes to war and comes back the same person. So there are probably going to be challenges because that spouse, after they come back from the combat zone, is not the same spouse that left. There's a honeymoon period, and then a lot of times there's a struggle after that. So probably the answer would be, for most people, yeah, it hurts a relationship, so don't ask the question unless you really know them or a family member or something that needs to know. Some relationships actually improve because the person that went to war realizes what's really important in life, and they change the way they look at things when they come back. Their family is more important to them because they value life differently and they value relationships differently. Some veterans are struggling in negative ways, and it really changes their relationship in a bad way. I've also seen where a veteran left a relationship because they felt they were damaged and their spouse deserved better than them. There are a lot of variables to this question. A lot depends on if they had a solid relationship before they deployed. Just don't ask this question because of your curiosity. If they want to talk about it, they will. This question can just cover so much of a range of emotions in them, and it can be a trigger for them, and there's just so much that's really none of your business with this. If you know them, that's a different story. You might want to ask them if they trust you, but don't just come out and ask it. Number 19. What did your spouse think of you going to war? This makes a lot of assumptions. First off, you're assuming that they were married. Second, you're assuming they went to war. And third, you're assuming that they're still together. Going to war could have caused the demise of their relationship. So why are you even asking this question? My answer probably would be a sarcastic one. Oh, they love me being gone, leaving them alone with the kids. Don't ask them how their spouse felt. If you're that nosy, ask their spouse. They can tell you their thoughts. Don't be surprised if you get a smart answer from them either. What do you think? Do you think they love their spouse and parent their children going to a war zone? Why would that even be any of your damn business? They were probably scared or worried that they would lose their loved ones and be left alone with kids and not have anybody to help them. Most of the time, military spouses are stronger than people give them credit for. They have to be to survive. The military life is not easy on the person in the military or their spouses, or their kids for that matter. It can bring up a lot of shame and guilt for the person who was deployed because they weren't there. If they were divorced, it reminds them of their perceived failures and their partner and the parents and all the stuff that they're missing out on because they were in the military. So I don't think that's the proper question to ask. Number 18. Did you get hurt in combat? Again, you're assuming they went to war. Not everybody in the military goes to war. If you ask this question, it's usually because they're missing a limb or have visible scars. By pointing out the differences, it can remind them of the event. It can cause them all kinds of feelings. Even if it wasn't in combat, it caused a disability, it can remind them that they're different. Asking that question can cause a lot of anxiety and a feeling of not being accepted. Most veterans who were injured during combat just want to be treated like everybody else. Hell, really, in all honesty, most people with disabilities just want to be treated like everybody else. They don't want to be treated special anyway. It doesn't matter whether you're in combat or whether you're a combat vet or not. It doesn't matter whether you're a vet. It's just if you have a disability. On top of that, most injuries surrounding veterans you can't see because it could be PTSD or TBI. And that really makes them feel like they stand out if they feel like they're acting, or if you kind of assume that they're acting weird because of their military service, combat. So it makes me wonder, what makes you think it's okay for you to ask that question? It makes me wonder, if you see someone in a wheelchair and you know they're not a veteran, do you ask them how they got in the wheelchair? And I don't think you ask them that, so why would you ask a vet that? Why would you want to be that nosy? It's really unfortunate that people just can't be quiet and move on. Number 17. Do you have a brain injury or TBI? Another stupid question. TBI, or traumatic brain injury, is another one of those hidden injuries like PTSD. When you ask someone a question, it makes them wonder if they're acting like something wrong with them. If they're damaged. Are they acting like they have a brain injury? If you're asking them, that makes them feel like how they're acting is noticeable. They could also believe that you're judging them, and you could cause them to act out. If you ask something like that, because their injury could cause them to rage or cause them to shut down. Asking that question is kind of like asking if you're schizophrenic because of the way you're acting. It's pretty personal, and it should only be asked by a doctor, a therapist, or a close family member. By asking them, it can cause them to shut down and not want to be a part of society. Often somebody with TBI struggles to leave the house because of their injury, because they do struggle with it, and they struggle with the frustration and anger that surrounds it. When you ask them, it just solidifies their thought process and causes them not to want to get out of the house. It could also lead them to thoughts of suicide. So just be careful how you ask questions and who you ask questions to, okay? Number 16. What type of discharge did you get? Unless you're an employer or in the VA or a VSO or anything like that, that's really none of your damn business. This is a really personal question. By asking them about the discharge, it makes them feel like they're less than. If they made a mistake and got a dishonorable discharge, I've actually known guys who got a dishonorable discharge because it come find out they had a medical issue that they divulged during their process of going in the military, and the recruiter fudged the information, and it was later found out that they had a medical issue that would have prevented them from going in the military, but since the recruiter fudged their information, they were accused of lying about their medical history and were given a dishonorable discharge for that. I also knew about a guy, he had 2 combat tours, and after the first one, he came back and started drinking and self-medicating and got a DUI. And then while he was in the process of getting Article 15 for his DUI, they shipped him off again for another deployment. And when they come back, they actually gave him a dishonorable discharge after his second tour. So you don't know the circumstances. So that's a pretty unfair question to ask. I've seen so many times to where folks have gotten dishonorable discharge that really didn't deserve them. I mean, if they've acted up and done something stupid, then they probably deserve it. But a lot of people I know that has gotten dishonorable discharges have gotten them for stuff that really wasn't their fault. Disclaimer: I'm a licensed mental health therapist in California. If you're searching for mental health help, please reach out to someone in your state. If you are within California, you can reach me at the email below. And if you're interested in coaching anywhere in the United States, you can reach out below also. These videos are for educational purposes only, and if you're thinking about suicide, please reach out and call 911.